What's the secret to happiness? Why do some people seem to be so much happier than others? Is it mostly about life circumstances, or is it something about the way we approach our life that makes us more or less happy? And can we become happier if we try? That's exactly what we're going to be talking about in today's video. I'm Cameron. I'm a licensed therapist, wife, and mother, and this is my channel, Modern Marriage, where I share with you guys all the tips, resources, and insights that I've gathered from working with couples in therapy so that you can start building the relationship and the life that you've always wanted. So to a lot of people, including many prominent self-help gurus, chasing happiness is viewed like chasing the snitch from Harry Potter. Maybe you can catch hold of it for a moment every once in a while, but unless you're among the most skilled or the luckiest, it's unlikely you'll grab hold of it with any amount of consistency. And while I have seen in my personal and professional life that happiness can be an elusive target, I began to doubt the idea that we can't consciously cultivate more of it in our lives when I realized how often I have done the exact opposite of that. There have been many times in my life when I've found myself choosing to be less happy under the same or similar circumstances. For example, sometimes my toddler's temper tantrums hardly shake my patience and contentment, and other times they seem to push me right to the edge of my sanity. The scenarios are almost identical. He's mad at me that I'm changing his diaper, or I'm not letting him stick his hand in the hot oven, or something like that. Yet in one instance, I'm still pretty happy, or at least content with life, and in the other, I'm definitely not. Eventually, I started to wonder if I can choose to be less happy, what's to say I couldn't also choose to be more happy, or at least more content, without fundamentally changing my life circumstances. Fortunately, I later stumbled across a book, now one of my favorites, on exactly this topic. It's called Interior Freedom by Jacques Philippe. And I want to share with you 3 of the biggest insights from this book that I have used to cultivate far greater happiness in my own life without making any radical changes to external circumstances like my health or wealth or even my relationships. But before I share these insights, please don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel if you want to see more content like this, and share this video with someone who you think might find it useful. Okay, back to the video. The 3 insights I've used to be a happier person are, number 1, manage your expectations. Growing up, a motto in my family was to prepare for the worst but hope for the best. The lower our expectations, the less likely we are to be disappointed by the outcomes of any given situation. In fact, expectations are so powerful that proper management of them has become a central part of a lot of therapeutic approaches to treating issues like depression and anxiety, for example. One caveat I'll add to this, though, is that it's important to strike some sort of balance, since having inordinately low expectations for ourselves leads to worse life outcomes typically. Akin to the self-fulfilling prophecy, whether you think you'll lose or you think you'll win, you're right. So perhaps the proper balance is to have some low expectations for things outside of your control, like the weather, other people's behavior, or the traffic on your morning commute, while having high expectations or standards for your own choices and behavior, like how you react to things like the weather, how you treat other people, and how hard you work. Number 2, choose your given circumstances rather than just bearing them. A lot of suffering can be alleviated by our choices. For example, when you have a headache, you can take aspirin. When you're tired, you can take a nap. When your spouse says or does something hurtful, you can respond with patience and love instead of making the situation worse by retaliating. But some suffering is certainly unavoidable, no matter what we do. When it comes to this form of suffering, we're often taught to grin and bear it, if not to complain. Yet just bearing our circumstances robs us of our autonomy, our belief that we have some agency in the matter. But we always have agency. We can always choose to embrace our current circumstances rather than just tolerating them, even in the most painful situations. So at the very least, we can say, I am choosing to experience this suffering. It's not being forced upon me against my will. Then, at least we aren't slaves or victims. We are active participants in our fate. And for the people I've seen who adopt this attitude, if they don't find more happiness right away, they at least suffer less unhappiness, since they are no longer having to face the unhappiness from loss of their autonomy. And number 3, search for reasons to be grateful. This may be the hardest but most fruitful of the three insights, at least it was for me. For people willing to embrace the idea that each moment, no matter how much suffering it brings, also brings with it reasons to be grateful, the search for those reasons alone ends up making people happier. In fact, much research has been done on the power of gratitude. For example, even journaling for just a few minutes a day on the things that you're grateful for can significantly increase your overall well-being. This plays on our mind's natural tendency to magnify whatever it is that we're focusing on. For example, if you've ever played Where's Waldo, you've had this exact experience. Whatever you're looking at on the page comes into clear focus while everything else fades into your peripheral vision. Our attention to events works exactly the same way. The more we focus on what we can, and probably should, be grateful for, the more those positive things come into focus and the more everything else starts to fade away. Eventually, as this practice becomes second nature, our minds will begin to notice and magnify the positives on its own while minimizing the negatives. This is one of the clearest ways to happiness, to emphasize the positives and minimize the negatives. In an honest, genuine way, of course, since trying to trick your brain indefinitely usually doesn't work. If you don't believe me, just try convincing yourself that Greek yogurt tastes anything like ice cream. So the more you can focus on the good that can come from any given situation, the happier you'll be, as long as you're doing this in a genuine way. Okay, guys, what did you think? Does this align with your experiences of happiness in your own life? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Until next time, I'm Cameron, and this is Modern Marriage.